Wednesday, June 11, 1800. A very cold morning. We went on the lake to set pike floats with John's fish. William and John went first alone. Mr. Simpson called, and I accompanied him to the lakeside. My brothers and I again went upon the water, and returned to dinner. We landed upon the island where I saw the whitest hawthorn I have seen this year. The generality of hawthorns are bloomless. I saw wild roses in the hedges, went to bed in the afternoon, and slept till after 6. A threatening of the toothache. William and John went to the pike floats. They brought in 2 pikes. I sowed kidney beans and spinach, a cold evening. Molly stuck the piece. I weeded a little. Did not walk. June 11, 2017. Ambleside. Your wet air and gentle fog were too much for us Southerners. For the first time since we landed, I began to miss El Paso's heat. We made our way towards the lake with downcast eyes. Here, we were set to have a picnic. I absolutely love this idea. But since we all had a very late breakfast, we sat silently on a tree trunk as we passed around gingerbread cookies instead. I noticed our professor, being the scholar that he is, take out his sack lunch along with a copy of Wordsworth poetry and began leafing through the pages as he quietly read to himself on the ground. A most humble image. I pictured myself in his shoes. The weather worked against us, and we tried to seem more appreciative with the view, but I do believe our postures and appearances spoke the opposite. Our group was happy to be there, no doubt about that, but perhaps Dr. Schmidt received the wrong message. I did not want to disappoint him, for he was giving us the experience of a lifetime. After a quick pit stop, we'd set for another challenging hike. I kept telling myself these were going to make me lose weight, but the way I was eating, I actually came back gaining 5 pounds. Go figure. With my poncho on and my ears covered, there was no way I was going to miss visiting a place called Dungeon Gill. I'm forgetting to mention how the Lake District is home to 1 million sheep. There are quite possibly more furry creatures populating the valleys than there are people, for sheep are everywhere. On the roads, on the mountains, near the lakes, they're always eating, always napping. My spirit animal. Here on this mountain, they were stationed in places one would not even dare to cross. Sheep were significant, particularly for Dungeon Gill. One of my favorite poems by Wordsworth originated here. The Idle Shepherd Boys, or Dungeon Gill Force. Everything about this poem is enjoyable. The story, the rhythm and pace. It's all too fun to not read aloud, and here we were, in the secret spot where very few have crossed. Our private cascade. Our group was fierce. We made our way down knowing it was very dangerous to slip, but we submerged nonetheless. I stood in a boulder very near the hidden waterfall when suddenly I took the wrong step and landed sharply on my side. That nearly knocked the breath out of me, but I played it cool, after screaming "fuck" at the top of my lungs. We came back and read the poem, first Dr. Schmidt, then I volunteered to reread it. In England, stories wrote themselves, and I envied Wordsworth for having the ability to roam these lands without care and endless time to create such masterpieces.
Small perceives a lofty waterfall. With staff in hand across the cleft, the challenger pursued his march, and now all eyes and feet have gained the middle of the arch. When list, he hears a piteous moan. Again, his heart within him dies. His pulse is stopped, his breath is lost. He totters pallid as a ghost, and looking down, espies a lamb that in the pool is pent within that black and frightful rent. So there's the black and frightful rent. The lamb had slipped into the stream, and safe without a bruise or wound, the cataract had borne him down into the gulf profound. His mother, his dam, had seen him when he fell. She saw him down the torrent floor, and while with all a mother's love, she from the lofty rock above sent forth a cry forlorn, the lamb, still swimming round and round, made answer to that plaintive sound. When he had learnt what thing it was that sent this rueful cry, I ween the boy recovered heart, and told the sight which he had seen. Both gladly now deferred their...
After getting lost in the grassy mountain, we made our way back to shelter, aka the pub. We had a traditional English meal and were introduced to sticky toffee pudding. Little did I know I would be eating this sugary treat at least 3 more times, twice in one day, before we left for home. Even as I write this, my mouth is salivating for this dessert. A very fine day. This is what it's like to read the idle shepherd boys from the vicinity of my own room. Stanza 5 reads, "Till you have crossed where I shall cross, say that you'll neither sleep nor eat." James proudly took him at his word, but did not like the feat. It was a spot which you may see if ever you to Langdale go. Into a chasm a mighty block hath fallen, and made a bridge of rock. The gulf is deep below, and in the basin black and small receives a lofty waterfall. Though reading from home has its perks, nothing can compare to being physically stationed in the very spot of the image being described. Without this experience, the following narrative would have never been written. I took my time to slow down and appreciate the views, whereas back home, I'm eager to simply turn the page. We had all been hyped about the adventure that would follow. Halfway across the globe, the Great Lakes of England awaited us. We were prepped with words and images of the Lake District, but my imagination lacked feeling. I could appreciate and love that the gulf is deep below, and in a basin black and small receives a lofty waterfall. But these symbols could only take me so far. It was green. Everywhere you glanced, green. Though there was fog following us, what little I could see struck me. I'm in another world, I remember later reporting back home. Nothing disappointed me. How was it possible that at their fingertips townspeople could access such beauty? I was in the middle of a small forest of evergreens. The floor, tree trunks, sky, steps, all green and mossy and green. The river flowed quickly and proudly to my right. There was no greater peace. We began walking upwards on the mountains, and each and every single turn and peak was too much for me to handle. My pictures did no justice of what lay before me, but the scenery itself wrote stories for you. It was no wonder that Wordsworth picked this place to be inspired. I felt so at ease with myself through each stanza that I could feel my heart slowing down from all the hiking. I was reminded as to why I chose literature. We were finally able to see the famous massive mountains our professor had promised, which exceeded every expectation I had of the Lake District. Coming from a city where mountains served to protect us, these colossal creatures did more than that. Here, they served to overpower. As we looked upwards, I could not help but feel so small. It was as though I was nothing, and nature was the Almighty. These giants were subliminal, and mankind does not deserve such beauty. To my right, a lake so massive you were certain it was an ocean. So much water, unpopulated, unused, but stationed there to be admired. What role do you serve? Tautness? So much of you, and so little of me. The importance of the past is that it reminds us of a more simplified life. The Wordsworths and company had no limits despite the weather, and would take nature for what it was. In contemporary life, we forget to appreciate our surroundings. Always having to do something, always having to be somewhere, we neglect our world and all it has to offer. As my classmate Michael put it, "Before I came here, I did not think much of nature. Now I feel like I can go back home and actually appreciate the world." With this, I have learned that the past is vital in order to better our future. Reading the poetry has been enriching, but experiencing it has been life-changing.